Hello and welcome to the Abra Suite Human Resources product presentation. The Abra HR system can integrate directly with other Abra products such as Abra Payroll, Abra Attendance, the Abra Recruiting Solution module, and the Abra Training module. Abra HR can also interface directly with another payroll service that you may be using or some other in-house payroll application. To get things started, I first want to look at some specific areas in the code table setups that are going to be critical to the HR data. The first area that I want to talk about is benefit setup. This particular area in the code tables allows us to go in and set up insurance plans such as medical, dental, vision, HMOs, PPOs, and savings plans. The reason that it's so important in the application that these particular areas are driven by code tables is because when you apply your benefit plans to your individual employees, there's several different things that come under consideration. First of all, the eligibility that surrounds the plan. There's categories out here that we can set up regarding the employee's eligibility for the plan. There's general information regarding the plan, such as description, eligibility dates, and if this particular plan is continuable under COBRA. There's other information regarding the cost of the plans, employee premiums, dependent premiums, and things like that. The reason that it's nice to have all this information code table driven is because if you have a plan where there's a specific cost for an employee, another cost for an employee and spouse, and yet another cost for a family plan, there's no need in the Abra application to set this particular plan up 3 different times. You're able to build this plan once and then tie out various rate tables that tie themselves to the individual plans. That makes the code tables much more powerful in the application. This will also help you with your data maintenance. If you're in a situation where you're going through open enrollment and the cost of your individual benefit plans change from year to year, what you're able to do with the code tables is go out here, change the price of the individual plans, and any employees within the system that have the current plan set up in their record will automatically have this change take place in their record without having to perform any data maintenance. The next area that I wanted to talk about from a code table setup perspective is an area that ties out to job code information. You can see out in this area where we're looking at rules or our code tables, there's lots of code tables in the Abra system that will tie out to employee data. Things such as EEO classifications, family medical leave events, OSHA information, other compliance types of information. And one of the nice things about the Abra code tables is we can also link some of this information together so that when we go into the system, and I'll give you an example here in job codes, if we go out in the system and select a particular job code for an employee, one of the things you'll see on this particular screen is that when I select a job code, I'm also selecting this particular employee's salary grade range, their EEO classifications, exemption statuses, and job groups. So again, this makes the code table area very powerful as far as doing data entry. It makes it very nice where you can key in information and have other bits of information follow something that you've set up in a record. It's also nice because it keeps your information very uniform, making your reports very accurate. The one last code table that I wanted to talk about was this particular category out here called organization codes. This particular area can be set up in the system to match the way that you break down information for reporting purposes and perhaps security purposes in your organization. If we go out here and look at these individual organization codes, you can see that we've got different code types such as division, department, and location. These are just examples that we've set up for you in the system. What you're able to do is set up your own code table types. So if you use terminology such as floor, or a branch, or a wing, or a machine group, or team, or work area, you're able to incorporate these specific code types in the organization structures and then use an unlimited number of descriptions to tie out to that particular code type. Again, the reason that this makes the code table so powerful is that you're able to take this information, and when you go to generate reports out of the system, you can sort and group your information based on your individual organization codes. Another thing that you're also able to do in the application is that if you have multiple people going into the human resource system, you can break down the groups of employees that your particular administrators can access based on these organization code structures. So for example, if you don't want certain clerical people to see any information regarding your executives, you can go out here and create an organization code group, call it employee type, and you can group your employees based on whether or not they're an executive, an hourly employee, temp, part-time employee, or some other description that you prefer to use. The next area I wanted to briefly talk about as far as getting data into the system before we look at some of the data elements in specific is this particular area called actions and processes. Basically, these two areas are specific to the human resource application, and they're designed to help you enter information or modify information in the Abra databases. You can see that these particular actions tie out to some common processes that you perform in the HR department. Hiring people, rehiring employees, giving people pay increases and job changes, terminating employees, making other types of changes to employee records. This process area also allows you to go out there and make specific changes in a mass update format or update employee benefits through a process that is wizard-driven. Now, to go out and look at some of the individual data elements, we go down here to Details in Human Resources. This will allow us to, first of all, get to a list of screens. Once we get to the area where we're viewing individual screens of information for our employees, the tool that we use to navigate through this area is the toolbar across the top of the screen. This area over to the right helps us select an employee, and I'll bring an employee up to the screen. This other area allows us to scroll from employee to employee. This particular area allows us to filter employee information. Also navigating through the system, you can see as I select these icons across the toolbar, when I put my cursor over top of this particular icon, the name of the screen that I can access bubbles up on the screen so I know exactly where I'm navigating. One click takes me from screen to screen of information for my employees. In this particular area called Demographics, I'm able to go out here and view name, address, phone number, information for my employees. I can also access personal information for my employees, and I can also access EEO-related information for my employees as well. There's another tab out here that allows me to keep track of employee photographs. If you've got a digital camera in your company, or if you take employee photos maybe for some sort of a door badge or security purposes, you're able to take employee photos and link them directly into the employee records. Another thing that you can also do in the HR system is go out here to an area called Employee Attachments. The area for Employee Attachments lets you do the same thing that you can do with the photographs. You can attach a photograph to an employee record, but in Employee Attachments, you're actually attaching scanned documents to employee records. So if you've got things like a scanned W-4 form, maybe benefit enrollment forms, beneficiary designation forms, disciplinary action forms, and things like that, you're able to tie those particular records out to an individual employee record. The next area that I want to look at is the human resource status area. This particular area tells you information about the hiring of your employees, specific dates that tie out to that hire. If you notice over here in the left-hand column, there's various dates that we do keep track of in regards to the original hire date as well as adjusted seniority dates. So if you're in a situation where you have seasonal employees that come and go to your organization, or if you've terminated somebody and rehired them back, you're able to keep track of that information out here in the system. There's categories out here to keep track of I-9 verification information. There's also a tab out here that lets us keep track of military information for our Vet 100 reporting. If you notice out here to the right, there's also another tab called User Defined. There's several different areas in the HR system that have individual user-defined fields, and as you can see from this example, you can keep track of information regarding team names, team colors, locker numbers, driver's license numbers, anything specific to the employee record that you want to keep track of. You can use these individual custom fields and define them however you want. There's also a more elaborate area that comes with the Abra HR system, and this particular area is called Custom Details. Out here in Custom Details, you're able to go out here and build individual custom screens of information that lets you have access to specific detail that you want to keep on your employee. Let's say, for example, your company issues property to your employees, such as cell phones, pagers, laptops, printers, scanners, things like that. Or maybe you're in a situation where you're providing your employees with company vehicles, company credit cards. This is a great place to go out and build custom screens where you can keep track of this type of information. This particular area is completely customizable by you, so you can go out here in the system and you can define date fields, dollar fields, code tables, and open note fields to keep track of this information. Also, if you notice on the right-hand side of the screen here, you can also incorporate current data elements that are out here in the Abra system to show themselves out here in the record when you're adding information to the employee. The other nice thing about being able to build these individual custom screens is that this information will tie out directly to the Crystal Report Writer. So at any time you want, you can run reports against the information that sits out here under these current custom screens. The next area that I want to look at is an area out here called Current Pay. Current pay information not only ties out annual information, but it also breaks your information down by pay period salary, unit pay rates, hourly pay rates. There's a category out here that will keep track of pay and performance information. So when is an employee due for a performance review or a pay review? There's another category out here, another screen of information that keeps track of current job information. This particular example is something that we were looking at out in the code table setup area. This is where I would go and select an employee's job title and job description, and as you can see, based on a simple selection from my pull-down menu or my code table, the information automatically populates itself regarding this employee's EEO classification, their salary grade ranges, their job groups, and their exemption status. Another area we also talked about in code tables was this organization structure. This is the example I showed you where we have divisions, departments, locations already set up in the system for demonstration purposes, but again, you can call these particular categories anything you wish. There's also a tab out here that will keep track of secondary job information. So if you have employees in your organization that perform more than one job, you can keep track of that information in the system as well. Another thing that makes the Abra database very powerful is that there's a category out here that exposes job history. Actually, if you look at these records in detail, you can see that we're actually keeping track of both job history and pay history. So there's historical records that sit out here regarding the employee's job changes, job promotions, pay promotions, and other user-defined information in a historical format. Within the Abra system itself, we also store historical information regarding an employee's benefits, their benefit elections, job changes, pay changes, and what that allows you to do is go into the system and run various types of analytical reporting. If you want to go back in time and evaluate things like how many people were participating in a savings plan a year or so ago, or if you want to go back in time and look at how many employees were making over a certain annual amount, you're able to go ahead and gather that information out of the Abra database because we store historical records out here in the data structures. There's an area out here for insurance benefits. Again, this is an example where you can see historical information on the screen, or you can just go out and look at current records regarding the employee's benefit selections. There's an area where we can keep track of savings plans for the individual employees. And there's also an area that ties out to the benefits as well as the employee record where you're able to put dependent information into the system. And you can see if we go into some detail here that we're able to keep detailed information regarding the dependent as well as their benefit elections. Again, what this information will do is tie out specifically to the code tables where it will look at the employee's participation, the dependent's participation in the plans, and then apply the correct rates based on the plan setup. The next area out here shows us the employee skills. There's another screen that will show us employee education information. There's a screen out here that will show us previous employers. There's also a screen out here that will keep track of event information. This is a great area to keep track of things like licenses, memberships, certifications, and things like that. And the reason that this is such a good area to do that is because there's an area that keeps track of the next due date. In other words, there's reports that you can run against this information. And let's say, for example, you want to run a report for the month of February to say how many people are due for a license renewal or a certification renewal. You can generate those particular reports and share that information through email with your other managers to make sure that all your employees are staying compliant with their licenses and certifications. There's an area to keep track of emergency contacts out here in the database. There's an area to keep track of wellness-related information. You can also keep track of things like drug test results. There's an area that keeps track of OSHA detail. And in this particular area, you can see above and beyond the basic information that's needed for your OSHA reporting, we also keep track of things like lost time injuries, information regarding the location of the injury, specific details regarding the employee's injury, treatment that this particular employee received. We're also able to go out here and track workers' comp information regarding the accident. There's an area out here to keep track of specific employee notes. This particular area allows us to customize the types of notes that we want to keep on our employees. And you can see from this pull-down list some of the different categories. If you want to keep track of things like disciplinary information, exit interviews, grievance processing, any kind of general notes, you can go ahead and keep track of that type of information out here. You can always run reports against this information. Another nice part about this area of the software is that you can also, again, post a follow-up and run reports against this information. So if you do have something like a disciplinary action where you promise the employee that you'll follow up with them in 30 or 60 days, you can keep track of those particular dates out here in the application to make sure that you do in fact get back with your employee and follow up. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about, if we go back out here to the Activity Center, are some of the reports that we can generate from the system. You can see under this particular category that the HR system is very robust in the reports that are available. There's a nice combination of regular HR day-to-day types of reports, such as personal information reports, where you can access various types of lists, phone lists, birthday lists. Another thing you'll notice, too, is that there's a standard criteria builder that's available as we navigate through these reports. So that way it's very easy to set up the information that you want to have show up in your reports. There's an area out here to keep track of benefit reports. There's also an area that's specific to your compliance. So as far as EEO compliance goes, there's an area that you can run your EEO reports. This is where we can also generate our VET 100 reports and also go through and verify I-9 information. Again, you can see the standard criteria builder, which is common in all the report sections. There's an area out here from a compliance standpoint for OSHA reporting, family medical leave reporting. So again, the system not only addresses common HR reports that you would run on a day-to-day basis, but it also addresses your compliance reports. One of the nice things about these particular reports as well is that they're all written using the Crystal Report Writer. What you're allowed to do with these particular reports, if you find a report that you like to run, but maybe you'd like to add some fields of information to it, maybe calculate some certain dollar values a different way, maybe break down your information a different way, you can actually take these report templates, bring them into the Crystal Report Writer and make modifications to them, and save these reports back out to the tree in a more custom format that you can identify with. The reporting structures that are available out here in the Human Resource System not only are addressed through canned reports and the Crystal Report Writer, but the one last thing I wanted to show you was this particular area called the Abra Secured Query. This is an area where you can quickly gather information regarding HR-related information on your employees, perhaps something job-related, pay-related, benefit-related. And I'll give you an example. If we go out and look at this Employee Benefit Enrollment Report, we'll open up a sample, and you can see that this is a very easy way to navigate through gathering information on your individual employees in either a database, a file, or a report format. First step is to go out and select fields. You can see that this is very easy to do. You don't have to use a report writer to do this. You don't have to use a data dictionary or link any tables. The information is automatically displayed to you based on a few simple selections. Those particular selections can be made out in this area where we're choosing the information we want to report on. There's also additional information that's available in the HR system regarding education, emergency contacts, events, insurance benefits, OSHA, job information, and wellness information. Once you've selected your fields of information, you just click to Step 2. Step 2 allows you to group your information however you want. You can group your data in this particular example by employee information, maybe benefit or savings plan information. The next category lets you sort the information. So if you want to sort by benefit order, or maybe you want to sort by alphabetical, by last name, this is an area that you can define how you want your records sorted. Step 4 lets you define how you want your records filtered. Maybe you only want to look at a certain division or department of employees, or maybe you only want to look at employees that have a certain benefit applied to their record. The last step here, Step 5, allows you to define the output results. This particular area allows you to define whether you want to report, do you want it printed, do you want it brought to the screen, do you want to create a file with the information, do you want to take your information and send it over to a Microsoft Office product, or maybe you want to publish your information out to the web. We give you several different capabilities as far as running your queries and running your reports and defining the format that you want them in. That brings us back to the Activity Center. That pretty much covers everything as far as the Abra Suite Human Resource System. Again, just a reminder, this particular application will integrate directly with other Abra modules, whether it's payroll, attendance, recruiting solution, and train. The Abra HR system will also integrate directly with your payroll service or in-house payroll system provider through our AbraLink system. That concludes our product